Hello folks, welcome to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe, like and do press the bell icon to get latest updates from my channel. For some professional stuff, you can find me on my LinkedIn account and we can have a good conversation out there related to some business things. For the stuff related to my YouTube sessions, you can find me on my GitHub account, Shahad Hair Business, and you can find SOA Service SOA CURD, Microservices SOA CURD, and rest of the stuff is given on my tools and utilities for your convenience of that. For some word of mouth, microservices is an architecture style that structures an application as a collection of loosely coupled services. The services interact with each other, but they are independent in their existence. In today's session, we will be discussing about Microservices CURD, and we will be having some templates that are provided by the Microsoft, and we will be discussing simple object architecture and simple object architecture verification and validation. And next will be database, that will be our SQLite database in this session. And some security stamps, user and role, the token and claim shall be from the ASP.NET provider. So what we are expecting from microservices are some benefits that can be written here, that is scalability, flexibility, resilience, and faster time to market are one of those things which we can consider in microservices. So from demonstration purpose, we will be discussing Cartesian product with a CURD using SOA, simple object architecture. We will be creating some stuff here, and those stuff will be updated, entered, and find all and delete using Microservices SOA DLL, and tools and utilities that I already mentioned will be available for you on the code at GitHub. So let's quickly build our solution and bring something from the GitHub. I'll be using Microsoft Visual Studio 2022. It's having good stuff like co-piloting and AI stuff over there. So I will be just cloning in a minute. So the project is ready now, and I have made some changes in the code, and I'm just going to quickly build that. I suppose let's clean it up. So I'm just cleaning it. The solution readiness, a few steps will be performed, and most of the things will be quickly ready for us. So I'm now just going to build it so that we can confirm everything is perfectly fine and up and running for us. We are just creating restored, and lots of things are included in that. It might take some time, and we are just need that. So the build is ready, and now I'm going to quickly run the test cases. Same results can be found here in our database. So far we have only 2 users and an administrator account created by this application first run, and we have got login and we have got tokenization here. So I'm just going to rerun these things so that I can have some handsome amount of users input and rest of the stuff ready for us. So I have rerun the project unit test cases, that's an unit test template that I have utilized, and this project might take a minute or so to run the complete set of 8 methodologies here. Till time we will be waiting for it. I will get back to you as soon as the process gets completed. So the test run is complete. We have got the login information, and we have got some inputs that we have done recursively. That's around 42 TPS that are on the local machine. So let's get to our API creation, and I'm just going to create a .NET new web API controllers based application. I will say new, and I'll be creating a micro authentication API for this demonstration. So a little minute mistake that is related to the new and a quick fix, and the project will be successfully created. So I'm going to import that project in my Visual Studio. That's going to create a new one. I'm just going to import it now. So that's my existing one. That's my Microservices API that I'm going to include in the project. And just for the sake of confirmation that everything goes perfectly fine, we are going into that Microsoft API and we are going to build it first, so that you might be having confirmation that everything is perfectly fine. And next we are going to run this application. The build is perfectly fine and the application is running at this port. For some web access, we have run the application using the front end, and we are just going to make a try that application is perfectly up and running. For some dependency stuff, I am going to include some project reference. That's my Microservices SOA library, class library that I have created and is successfully included. And for other dependencies, I'm going to integrate from readme file that are the dependency packages that are required, and I'm just going to have those packages stored here. So let me complete this add packages and I will get back to you people as soon as the process completes. So the package inclusion is completed and we are having these dependencies included in our project now. A list of available are there. So let's get to our project actual task that we are going to have. I'm going to rename this controller to my authentication controller. I'll say yes for that. And the process gets complete. So a few things that we don't need, I will be just removing that. So we will not be using this weather forecast as well. So I just removed it, and now for the authentication, I'm going to make a clean of it. So let me quickly make some clean, and we are going to add some immutables at this time. So I am just adding those immutables at this level. So that's my app.db context, and I will say that that's my context. And there is another immutable that I'm going to add, that will be an I configuration, and I'm saying that it's my config variable. So far so good. So we are going to introduce a constructor for our controller, and that constructor is going to have app.db context, and that will be in the context that will be exactly the same configurations and rest of the thing that we have introduced in access specifier globally, so that we can access these parameters and functions at global level. For some diminished stuff, I'm just going to have some configurations over here that will be in the app code will be required, and rest of the things I will be doing quickly after just completing this initial app code. An app name will be required for some configuration stuff, and I will also be having some app diminished path. So these parameters are required to run these applications smoothly and to have some good insights into the application working, and how these inputs and output parameters are received and then processed at any time, at any level you need some input, so you can have these parameters helping you out for those. I'm just expecting turnaround of 1000 requests at this time, so yes, I will be just demonstrating 1000 requests here, and some diminished stuff that is related to the connection string. I will be using the database for this configuration, so I will be using SQLite as I already mentioned in my project. So I will be just including these things, and I will be expecting an expiry of 30 days for initial account creation, and rest of the I'm just quickly configuring and I'm just returning to you back. So these are some quick configurations at the initial constructor level. Now I'm going to route the request at a web level, and we are actually implementing that method that will be called on the web level, so we can be having some authentication calling at our web HTTP post request. Yep. So I will be accessing this method publicly, so I'm just specifying the scope as public, and I will be using a response user object here. That will be my response user object. So let's name it as sign on method. Yep, that will be a good name that you can use, and I will be having some instance user that will be instantiated like user, and I will be initially returning null value to just make things just perfectly. I'm sorry for the spelling mistake. Rest of the things are good. So far so good. I'm just going to quickly change these app settings and launch settings at first level, then we will shift to our program.cs file. So few necessary changes in the app setting I have done with respect to the default connection, API code, API load, what is the mapping path for the diminished stuff, and what's the app name, and rest of the things like expiry hours in times of minutes we have converted that, and the launch settings are there to help out those things now. So I'm just going to implement that method using our IDisposable instance service object, and I will say that it shall be addressing the null value, and rest of the things I will be just calling my endorse method, and that shall be getting input as user object in the context, and we are going to return whatever is received from this method calling. That is our response user, and input is user in the context. So let's now get to our program file. I have made some context here. I will be adding some configurations related to the app setting, and I'm just going to add some configurations here that is related to our app, and I will just building some new configuration builder. Yes, the object is this one, and I'm going to set the base path to it, and I will be having some directory references here. That will be my get current directory, and I will be just creating an object of it, and I will be finding some JSON file in this settings, and that shall be app settings.json file that will be included, and we are going to build it. So that's it for our app setting inclusion, so that whatever the configurations are there will be provided in the diminished file, and we'll be utilizing it. Next thing, we have got some builder services stuff for that, and we are just going to add some db context, and that db context is our app db context implementation in the dynamic way. and I'm going to opt for it in a way that we are going to use SQLite. That's the SQLite object, and we are going to pass some configurations to that. Yep, it is our configuration from our connection string that we are going to add, and whatever we have defined over there is our default configuration connection. In fact, that's our default connection, and that's it for our DB inclusion. The next thing we are just going to build in our services is our identity inclusion, and we are going to use user app user, and some app role at this level. And next we are going to add entity framework stores, and that shall be appdb context, and we are going to add user manager, and that shall be our app user manager object that we have some dynamically implemented, and we are going to add some default token providers to get things perfectly fine. You can also add some other things like the stuff that is in the Swagger stuff is available. You can add more anti-forgery and anything else like that I have mentioned in my code. You can add those things. So let's give a cross check. Our default connection is there, and I will be just adding that default connection. That's yes, our connection, and let's run the project. So the project is available here and executable in the Swagger. I'm going to paste some facts and figures here. That is an object required. An object shall be in some curly braces, in fact, like this. So let's execute. The empty results out there, and we have got some unregistered user message here because we have passed empty, and for some valid user I'm going to test it for it, and we got this quick pass. So the demonstration for this session is okay. I'm just going to demonstrate you guys with the application. So let's run our authorize API to just validate and verify our authentication. So our app is running now. I'm just going to try it out with some input. That might be some empty set object that we are going to try with some Cartesian product stuff. Now let's see what the result is there, and there isn't any registered request there. So I'm just going to have some correlation here, and I'm just going to run with valid correlation. Let's see what the response is there. So we have got a valid response. So we have got some inputs, output response. That's our audio and video, and just try it with another configuration that we have updated with our URLs and access with the parameters that are being actually provided by the API service, or these URLs that are being configured in this service, and we can also verify them from our database. Hope you have enjoyed the video, and see you in the next session with some .NET Kubernetes and .NET Docker stuff out there. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.